going to show you how to make a recolorable pattern in The Sims 3. And this is going to use a specific technique specific to using patterns from colorlovers.com. Because this website makes it really easy to make multi-channel recolorable patterns for The Sims 3, and I think that's best if you're first starting to learn how to make patterns and or who wants more work for themselves. So they have so many options for patterns, I don't see myself really using patterns from other places after discovering this website. So you can go to Browse Patterns or Browse Pattern Templates if you're not really sure what you want to make and you just want to look for cool ones. I like to do search, click the patterns, and I'm going to search feather this time around. And I like this pattern here. So you click on it, make sure it says color this pattern. If it does not say that, you need to find a new one because it won't work. And it brings this option to change the colors in the palette to make this pattern, which is what we want because the whole how Sims reads the different channels is by separating it out into channels and the alpha stuff in Photoshop. But as you may know from The Sims, the most colors you can recolor in a pattern is 4, which can pose a slight dilemma when you are working with these patterns because some of them have 5 or 6. Some of them might only have 2, like this one looks like, oh, they do have more. I don't know. As you go through, you might find some that have less, and so I'll kind of briefly later in the tutorial show you how to deal with that. If it's less than 4, you're fine. But you have to decide which 2 you want to combine when there's 5 or 6 colors. So I think it helps to get some different kind of really contrasting colors going on. So it's easier to see what your options are for combining. Sorry, I'm like having trouble thinking and talking at the same time. So looking here, you want to pick 2 colors that if they were combined, it wouldn't be a big deal. So I think I would combine the blue and the green, these 2 colors here. So you'll get something that looks like this. So you still get the alternating in the feather, the kind of chevron effect. And so it won't have as much options. But I didn't combine the background or the dark color, the feather outlines, because those are I would want more unique personally for me. So those 2 just seem like a good choice. So I'm going to treat these as one when I'm going through. So when I get to the 3rd one, I'm also going to do the same thing with the 4th one. So next, I like to work left to right through the different palette blocks because that just seems like a systematic way to not miss anything. So I'm going to start with the first one on the left. I'm going to make it pure white, which is this top corner up here, or FFF, and I'm going to turn everything else black. So we get something like this. Very boring, but that's okay. Feathers A. I usually, well, I don't know. See, the problem is this is like my 3rd time around, so I've like feathery. There we go. I mean, I don't know, maybe it would let me save it as the same thing. Feather 1. Okay, it's okay with that. I guess I can repeat it. That's good. I've tried this tutorial a couple times because I keep, I don't know, having trouble with it. So hopefully this one works. So you want to click preview. It has different sizes over here that you can view your pattern in. Preview is nice because it's going to give you a seamless block. So I like to do right click. You can do save image as and save it somewhere, but I like to just right click copy image. So I'm not like saving down 1,000 files. File, new. Photoshop will default to clipboard. I don't know, I'm not familiar with GIMP, so you're welcome to, of course, figure that out and see how it will work for GIMP, but GIMP should work too. Change it to RGB color. Mine keeps defaulting to grayscale, but we want the RGB color. Then you can do Control V and you paste in that block. I like to change the background color here to a really bright, obnoxious color, like bright green, bright red. And then if you do Alt backspace with the background selected, it'll fill it in. You can also come here to this tool, change it to paint bucket tool and fill it in and get your green background. I've just the last time I was trying to record this tutorial, I discovered what was causing this. So if it's never a bad idea if you zoom in really close to your pattern, you want to do filter, other, offset, you type in 100 and 100, and you're looking for lines, and they're gonna look very faint, and actually I discovered what was causing it. So typically later on we're going to get to this part where you resize it, and I found out it was the resizing that was causing this issue. So filter, other, offset, and you'll see, I don't know if I'll get it here too. Yeah, you get this faint green line through this, and it wasn't there before because we just did that, and so I was getting really frustrated when I was recording this tutorial because I hadn't discovered that aspect yet. So shrinking it back down. In this form we're okay, so we're good. So then I'm going to grab back to the internet, close this one, color this pattern again. I'm going to color this first one all black, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, and then the next one's turned to be white. So the way that the game reads this is with the channels, so we're isolating the layers that we want to be a color. So this next one, it's gonna, in game, if I change the, I don't know if it'll be the second one necessarily, but the second little circle to pink, everywhere that's white in this image will then be pink. So I'm gonna call this feather 2 and create a pattern and preview, and we get this, right click, copy image, bring it over here, Control V to paste it into Photoshop. I like to hide the first layer, do another filter, other, offset, make sure I'm not getting lines. Okay, we're good. Okay, back to internet, close this window, color this pattern. So now I'm going to do black, black. And if you remember right, I had decided for these next two blocks to be handled together, so I'm going to turn them both white. So this will be the next bit, and then this one's black. I'm going to call this feather 3. Create pattern, and preview, right click, copy image, Photoshop, paste, and we have our next bit. Gonna hide these layer 1, layer 2, filter, other, offset to check that it is seamless. So we're looking for either lines in the pattern if it's not seamless, but I've never seen a Color Lovers preview that wasn't seamless, which is really nice. And I found a way to avoid getting that seam when you size it up too. So we only, even though we're going to do 4 channels, we only need 3 layers because the top layer is going to end up being all white, and anything that's been black previously in all 3 layers, in this case it would be this one here, this channel. This has been black consistently in all that we've done, so that part will be the 4th channel, but we don't have to do the work to do that. So next we need to size this up. because the game needs to read something that is 256 by 256, and this is only 200 right now. So you want to type in your 256. Oh, I brought this up. I'm a shortcut person. I always forget. So Control Alt I is how you bring it up, or you can go to image size and get the same window. So 256. You want to change this option down here instead of by. So I would do either nearest neighbor or bilinear. Those seem to work. If you check it after you've resized it in the the filter other offset, and you are getting a something that's bleeding through. Yeah, this one seems to be good. Switch to the hard edge if you used bilinear or one or the other. But that seems to have fixed that issue, which is exciting for me because I would test them out in game and see that slight edge. And also it would be like, well, I checked it and it was fine. So now I know it was in the resizing that was happening. So we have that ready to go. So now we do File, New. I'm going to change this to 256 by 256 because that's what we need. I'm going to make sure that the color mode is in RGB color. This is like super important. Background content's white. That's also important. And then we hit OK. So we're going to paste the layers into this, but we're going to, over here it has layers, we're going to open up the channels. And if you remember right, we wanted a 4-channel pattern. This top one, so you're thinking, okay, there's 4, that's good. This top one is where we see all the channels coming together to create one image. So we really only have 3 channels right now, but it's a simple fix to get the 4th. We need to open up the alpha channel, and we do that by, if we come down here, it has create new channel. You click this little button, and we get the alpha layer. So now we're going to come back to the original document, switch over to the layers panel. I'm going to start with this top one here, layer 3. I'm going to hit Control A, and you get the dancing ants around the outside, which means it's selected. Control C to copy it. Come back over to the second document, open up the channels, and with alpha selected, I'm going to paste it in. Okay? It doesn't really matter what order you use these layers in. I just like to work my way down. So then this next one, I'm going to Control A to select it, Control C, and again I'm making sure I'm on layer 2, and then come back over to the next document, go to channels, move up to blue. I'm gonna sneeze. Okay, nope, I'm okay. Control V to paste it. And so if I show both of those, you can start to see the pattern forming, which is exciting. Okay, we're gonna come back over to the first document, come over to layers, hide the second layer. So now we're looking at layer 1. I'm gonna do Control A to copy, or I mean to select it, Control C to copy layer 1. Come back over to the next, the Untitled 2 in this case. Open up the channels, and we're going to paste this into green. We can just leave red, white. That is going to fill in anything that's been black and all the other layers to be the color for that one. So if I show all these, you get a good picture of what it looks like. Or if you look at the RGB, you see it. And so that's good. We're almost done with this first part. We just need to save it now. So you do File, Save As. We need D3 DDS from the drop down. If you don't have that, you need a Photoshop plugin for that. Google's your best friend there. I had a lot of trouble getting this into my Photoshop, so I am not the person to ask about that. Look up DDS plugin for Photoshop, CS, whatever you have, and hopefully you will find some luck. And so then we're going to save it as, I'm going to call it Feather, and we hit save. It opens up this dialog box. Make sure that this is selected as 8.8.8. RGB32BPP unsigned. Generate bitmaps is selected, 2D texture, and you hit save. So that is the first part of this tutorial. I will be back in a second video to show you how to turn this file into a pattern that The Sims 3 can read and get it all packaged up.